Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? It's your boy Abe. Today I'm going to be going over bodybuilding and fitness and why I stopped doing bodybuilding personally. So, pretty much when I was like 17, 18 years old, I started lifting weights because I was really underweight and I was insecure about my body and I wanted to make a difference. So, I went ahead with the whole fitness thing and I put on a bunch of weight. And then along the journey, I felt like I was really getting into this stuff because, when you go from like being really insecure with how your body looks to having a really like great muscular body, the results can make it kind of addicting to continue on. So I was starting to like really let the weights and the bodybuilding lifestyle really get to my head. And, I was really into it at the time. I would go to the gym about 6 days a week. I would eat about 4 to 5 meals a day. And I went from about 130 pounds, I'd say, to about 160 pounds or 158 pounds. Just pure lean muscle mass, right? Like there was not an ounce of body fat on my body, like 4% body fat. Like you can still kind of tell right now, like, I don't look too bad now, but this is my body after I stopped like training for a while, right? I still go to the gym, I still keep up with my fitness, but I don't do bodybuilding anymore. I don't take all those supplements anymore. Like I don't use creatine much anymore. I don't hit the gym 6 days a week. I don't lift super heavy. And I'm in this video today, I'm going to explain to you why that is. So pretty much with bodybuilding is that when I was younger, right, I used to feel like this was a passion of mine and that this was like the best thing in life. But really, as I went through life, as I realized that like, as I went through things like depression and anxiety and struggled with heartbreak and other things in my life, I realized that lifting weights and, eating 4 to 5 meals a day is really not the best way for a person to live their life. Like there's really so much more to life. With the bodybuilding, it was like, I had the option of like hanging out with a friend, watching a movie with a friend, or doing, playing a board game or something, or like finishing up meal number five. And I would choose to finish up meal number five because that was my lifestyle back then. And I feel like it could really become sort of like an addiction, like with any other addiction, like a drug addiction, like a porn addiction, like whatever, because anything that's done to an extreme is unhealthy in my opinion, right? Our bodies are not designed physically to be pushed to their limit every single day. They're designed in ways where, you play sports, but any type of sport that's done professionally is not healthy for your body because by the time you reach like age 30, by the time you reach age 40, your joints and the rest of your body is going to be broken down. And that's only a small part of the reason as to why I wanted to stop, honestly. It's not really just because of the physical effects. It's more so about the mental effects. And the mental effects for me was that I felt like as I went on more and more with this bodybuilding journey is that I was getting a little bit dumber and I was getting a little bit more shallow. My my main obsession started becoming my looks, how my body looked all the time. Was I eating all the right foods all the time? Was I, in perfect shape? That I always have a pump before I went out with friends? So it was like that, like my life revolved around bodybuilding. So it was becoming really toxic. And then what happened during quarantine is that when gyms closed and I couldn't work out for like a couple of months, and my only choice was to work out in a garage at home, I started slacking a little bit, right? I admit it. I lost some weight. I noticed that the creatine pills that I was taking were starting to cause me pains in my like abdomen areas. And a lot of you won't notice this pain as soon as you start taking it, but you got to understand I've been taking this stuff since I was like 17 and I'm about 22 now. So like 5 years later I started noticing like the weird feelings in my stomach. So I'm like, you know, maybe I should give this stuff a rest and stop using it so much. And then besides that, yeah, I lost some weight. I felt like I was just really losing myself because, you know, I was so used to being like this big, like this muscular guy. My body was a big part of my like ego and my identity. And I felt like as quarantine advanced, the longer I went without having that body, the more I felt like I was becoming more and more depressed and more like losing my like confidence and my self-esteem a little bit. And basically it taught me a lot. The experience just taught me that, hey, like you don't really need all that muscle to feel good, because when I first lost a lot of that weight, I felt like absolute garbage, right? I felt like I didn't know who I was. But then during quarantine, I started reading a lot and I started doing research on many other topics like psychology and philosophy and how to find yourself and what it really means to just other outlets in life, just other things in life that showed me that there's so much more to life than just looking a certain way or fitness. And that honestly, the exterior and what you look like and fitness is only it's such a small portion of what you really are in life and what you really feel like. And losing that weight and then just kind of like accepting it and not trying so hard to get it back made me a much stronger person internally, spiritually, and mentally. You know, maybe I'm not as strong physically now as I was when I was like working out every single day, but at least now, you know, I could pick up a book and read the whole book. I can write much better. I can, I'm just a lot more peaceful and a lot more happier in my life. I'm less selfish now. I just overall feel like, I feel like fitness is a very healthy thing, right? I feel like every man should lift weights, go to the gym, have a gym membership and lift weights. But I also feel like it should be kept to a limit. I feel like once it starts getting to your head too much and you feel like you have to go like 5, 6 days a week and you have to eat 4 to 5 meals a day, you know, maybe do that for a while just to see what it's like. Because I did that. I lived the bodybuilding lifestyle for like a good, excuse me. I lived a bodybuilding lifestyle for about, say, 2 years, maybe. And it's just it's just not for me. It's not what I wanted to do personally. I feel like there's a lot more in life that I'm a lot more passionate about, and I don't want to just, you know, dedicate my whole life to building up my body and looking a certain way. And you know, I started having pains in my lower back and my in my wrist, my right wrist. Like I could barely, like it hurts a lot, and then when it heals up and then when I train again, it goes back to the same way, because I was like, you know, working out so intensely and kind of doing boxing at the same time and all this stuff and just pushing my body to the absolute limit. You know, now I have all these pains in my body. So it's like, I'm just advising you that I don't really think it's worth it long term. And that's just my personal story and my personal experience. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for listening to this video. And you know, this is my first video on the channel. Like, subscribe, and peace out.